Now, normally I would come in and start with some funny intro and talk about blah, 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 sperms, blah, 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 sex, this. But unfortunately, much as you might have wanted comedy, I don't have that because I have an amazing episode with someone that I have really, really, really wanted to have on the podcast. So instead of doing any of that, how about I just start and we go in? So, in typical fashion,
And we want to welcome all y'all to Fan of a Fan, and this is strictly only for the fans.
welcome to Breaktime on Westside, your number one breaktime podcast, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. The man on the mic is a man who has just included skipping leg day to his workout plan. He is a man who clearly does not know enough about sex right about now. The man on the mic is none other than your tall, dark, and mildly handsome man, Sir Denver B. The show is Fan of a Fan, the holiday show where I get to go off the regular seasons, get somebody to collab with so that you can listen to something else besides my very beautiful voice. Now, part of the reason why I was talking about not knowing enough about sex is because I have somebody with me here who happens to not necessarily be a fan of the podcast right now, hopefully soon enough, but this is somebody that a fan even reached out to me and was like, by the way, you should have this guy. And by the time I saw his name, like, I wanted him. Not in the wrong way, but you get what I'm saying. The man on the mic is none other than Maurice Matheka. What's up? Say hi to the people.
I'm good. Thank you for having me on. Should be an interesting interview.
Yeah, it should be definitely interesting, considering that some Kenyan women consider you the best gift that mankind has to offer, considering that most of them call us trash at some point. A lot of guys will look at you as sensei. Personally, I'd have just called you the squirt master.
I've heard that phrase before, squad master. All right.
And it is mainly because a lot of people come to you because you are a sex therapist, if that's the term.
Correct. Yes.
And a lot of people, actually, a lot of women come to you for the sake of learning how to explore their more sexual side and, learn a little bit about squirting here and there. All right.
True. But it will be good for me to outline the three areas I deal with, which is relationship psychology, sexual psychology, and sexual application. When you mention things like having an orgasm, a woman learning how to squirt, that's more of the sexual application. That is what I am known for, but there's so much that I do for people, but especially just empowering women with the ability to own their orgasm is what I'm known for, which is a good thing.
All right, so just to kind of warm things up, could you say that you are responsible for your own orgasm?
If you're a woman, yes.
Oh, so for the rest of us dick swinging humanoids, we can't.
Well, the thing is this. The reason why you asked that question is because female orgasms don't come as frequently as male. Otherwise, we'd not be having that debate. You and I, by design,
Yes.
are created in a procreational sense.
True.
So if our penis girth is stimulated by a vagina or any form of stimulus, it could even be, the side chair, we could ejaculate if you're into that kind of thing. But the thing is, a woman will still get stimulus and not get climax, which means she won't have an orgasm. And I think that's the reason why you asked that question.
Interesting.
In regards to ownership. You see, the thing is, the procreational science is you and I as a man, we're the ones who are supposed to penetrate a woman and give her an orgasm.
True.
But if you
True.
ask me, that's a very ancient way of looking at sex because that's more procreational. That's more you and I have the ability to penetrate and ejaculate. But if we're looking at the fun element, we're looking at recreational sex, then we should look at a woman being the one who is conditioned to own our
Yes.
orgasm, which makes my life easier and your life easier. I think every man would like a penetrative sexual experience that causes a woman to erupt and go crazy. But the truth is, a lot of men are clueless, but they're clueless based on the fact they only understand their penis, not the vagina, because they've never owned a vagina.
True. Personally, I haven't. But before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go straight into it, considering that, some people would look at you as the squirt master, which is the sexual psychology side of it, as you had mentioned. I'll just start with that and kind of just hit the ball rolling then.
Okay, cool.
All right. So first question, is squirting piss?
Well, let's just put it this way. If squirting is urinating, then I must be a very clever man because women pay me good money to teach them something they already do. Wow, I must be a genius. It's like you paying me money to teach you how to urinate. Would you do that?
Well, if I was a billionaire and I didn't feel like I was urinating properly, I'd probably pay somebody. But definitely not you, because you're a guy.
You had to look for an answer. Only Kenyans come up with such things. You just had to look for an answer where you're like, no. No, the truth is, squirting is not urinating.
Yeah.
If you ask doctors who have done such trials, they will tell you there's an element of urine in squirting, which is true. However, the problem is whenever they've done these tests, they do them with subjects who have recently gone to urinate, and then there's urine in her urethra tract.
So technically, their studies are sort of biased in a sense.
They're flawed because they are not considering the fact that she urinated maybe half an hour ago, and they still urine in her tract. Let's just put it this way.
Yeah.
If a woman is caused to squirt the first time and you take that sample and you make her squirt another 2, 3, 4 times, sample 1 will be the only one with urine, the rest won't.
True.
But they don't look at the fact that a woman can have multiple orgasms that cause her to squirt. They just look at the sample that the exercise in regards to, here's a cup, make yourself squirt, and let's hope for the best. And from that, there'll be a sediment of urine. But that does not mean squirting is urinating. Otherwise, like I said, I must be the most unique guy who can trick women into learning the one thing they've been doing since they were babies.
Or possibly,
Yes.
it could just be that most of these scientists and doctors just can't get a lady to squirt that many times.
Okay, the thing is, you're not going to please everyone, and most people are not believers unless they actually experience it. The same way the women who come to me for me to coach them on how to squirt, squirting to them is like a PhD, because some of them even having the mere orgasm is a trial. So when you get a woman to the point where she can witness herself being able to squirt, then she has an aha moment. Without that aha moment, it's just another fairy tale. It's the same way as a man telling a woman that when we meet this weekend, I'm going to do you like you've never been done. But then the woman gets a taste of you and realizes you're the worst lay ever. But you talk a good game.
Yeah.
So for me, I stay away from the talking. I do more of the doing. Women pay me for the results, and that's what I've been doing for the last 19 years.
Oh, wow. 19 years.
Yes, 19.
I don't think some of us are that old. But anyways.
Okay.
But actually, that being said, let me move it on to another question that I also found interesting, because I kind of figured I should do this almost in like a nursery school fashion, where I just ask questions that I probably would think of in the most random of times.
No problem. There's no right or wrong question, so just go ahead.
All right, great. So, squirting versus creaming. What's the difference and what should you aim for?
It's not really about aiming, but first let me answer your creaming is the milky fluid that at some point flows based on stimulus. That milky fluid, as much as some people will even call it cum juice, is actually the fluid that the vagina secretes to protect itself. However, when the woman is very aroused, more of it is produced. And the more of it is produced, it starts giving out a sensation because of the friction between the inner wall of the vagina and the penis. So it becomes like a self-lubricant. You know, like if somebody massages you with certain sensual oils, there'll be a different texture. You get my point?
Yeah.
Like the texture of the vagina with that particular creaming and the texture of your hand when you masturbate are two different textures. True or false?
Very true.
So the vagina just secretes a lot of fluid depending on the stimulus, but that does not mean she's having an orgasm. But it does mean that the stimulus level can actually create spasms that cause her to orgasm. You know, it's like when women say, when I'm in the office, I get very wet and my panty liner is all wet. But when I start having sex with the same man that I was getting wet for, I suddenly go dry. That's because her notion and perception of what was going to happen versus what's being delivered are two different things. I can look at a woman's picture and go like, oh my God, why am I getting a hard on? But the minute I meet the woman, within 10 minutes of listening to her voice, zero hard on.
So it's a case of expectation versus reality.
Exactly. There you go.
So technically, in a sense, you could say that the juice that comes when somebody is creaming is like the near equivalent of like pre-cum for guys, right?
Yes, if you want to put it that way. But now this is where now some men will hate me for saying this. If your woman doesn't cream, or she rarely creams, or she's never seen herself cream, chances are the stimulus you give her does not get her there. The problem is there's a lot of procreational fuckers, men who just insert their penis and hope for the best. They bang away, but the banging is not giving the vagina the stimulus it requires for there to be any form of creaming or any form of spasm. And that's when you find women saying, it's not about banging me for an hour versus the guy who's only going for 5 minutes. It's what you do within that time that stimulates her for her to crave more of the stimulus. Sex is about stimulus. If you apply it wrong, then the results are wrong.
Actually, now that you've mentioned the whole stimulus question, well,
Yes.
the whole stimulus statement,
Yes.
can you say that it is possible, especially considering that you have a lot of psychological experience with love, sex, and relationships?
Right.
Is it possible that the whole idea that men can sort of disconnect? Actually, let me just try and rephrase that real quick.
Okay.
Guys are known to have the casual sex and not have the feelings, but people
Yes.
say that women can't do that. Is that true, or is that just a thought process and a bit of like a false statement?
Okay, I think we're tagged with that sentiment because yes, we are pretty freelance with our sexuality, and that's exactly it. We're free with our sexuality. Our sexuality and any forms of feelings that we call love are in two different boxes. Yes, you will find that a lot of women do put love and their sexuality in one box, but the same man who's been accused of being too flexible with his sexuality and can separate the two, love and sex, he's also having sex with a woman who at some point can separate. It just depends on the context of how you ended up having sex. I think women have been fed with the notion that you guys are just lovers. We are driven by dopamine. You are driven by oxytocin. So you are more loving. You are more caring. You are more of the kind of human who wants to own a person and nurture them. And we are just beasts. Now, based on that, the men really look bad. But the truth is that I've met plenty of women out there who are not accustomed to the same thing as the whole emotional thing. It's more on socialization rather than it being just a woman thing. There are women who can basically have sex with a man, and you will be the one troubled when she tells you, well, I don't think I'm going to see you again, but hey, it was good.
Wait, so there's one that'll get done with you and tell you get out of my bed, dress up and bounce.
Yes, there are women who do that.
Wow. This is news.
But is it a bad thing? I mean, men do it all the time.
Well, I'm a little bit nicer.
And if you're being told to bounce, the sex was either really good and she didn't want to get addicted to it, or you did a pathetic job. Or maybe you are a taster and there's another Uber bringing another guy. I mean, guys do it all the time. So why is it a debate when women do it?
Wait, so you're talking about like an appetizer and there's somebody that's coming in with the main course?
You're
just
an
there to
appetizer.
tickle her fancy.
Yeah, you're just there to tickle. You know, she was bored, so she needed a tongue to do a few things, just to feel a penis that wasn't doing much. And then you're told, and she kind of gauged you. She knew what you were able to do. And, once you're done with your thing, she tells you, hey, nigga, it's been real. And make it quick because there's another guy coming. She may not put it that way, but, in essence, it is happening. But why the oof? As men, we do it to women.
Yes.
Why can't they do it to us?
I never said they can't do it to us. I just
Not
don't
you.
think
I'm
a lot
now
of guys
talking
are used
to
to
the
it.
general population of men.
Yes.
I find it weak. I find it weakness in a man if you can create a rule that you can't take yourself.
I agree. I totally agree. As someone that does not really stand for the whole double standard, I do agree with you.
Yes.
Because I find a lot of people are down for that entire statement and believe in that, which kind of gives them some form of notion that they can cheat, they can play outside, but the minute the babe does that, they're like, no, that's wrong, but what I do is justifiable because I'm a man.
Yes.
And because of that, I usually
tend
to
happens?
pull back the... Please explain.
It happens because emotionally we are the weaker sex.
Okay.
We can't take the knowledge that some other guy is macking on our girl. Forget having to sleep with her. Women have to deal with the fact that I spend an entire weekend with another woman, but she deals.
Yeah.
Most men can't hack the fact that I saw your mama being katiwat by a guy. Just that thought process already in your mind, you've seen that guy fucking your mama, yet they were just talking.
True.
Isn't that a sign of weakness?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So as we try and thump our chests, yes, but and that is why I tell men, know who you are in our sexual society. Some things should not faze you.
Agreed.
They just shouldn't, because look at all the women you've ever dated. Yeah? I mean, I'm sure you've dated a few women yourself.
Yep, one or two.
One or two. I don't believe you, but let's just continue with that. But the thing is this: those women, before they met you, they had other penises. True or false?
True.
It's a choice when a man makes those other penises affect him. Why are you affected by penises that are not relevant in our life? So can you imagine how you're affected by a penis that you have got in your own mind that has not even dabbled in your woman's vagina? Isn't that weakness?
Yes. It's even weird.
So these are...
Having someone else's penis in your mind.
Yes, but you know how many men ask women those questions? Babe, how was he? Was he bigger than me? Did he do you like me? Stupid questions.
Wow.
Yet, when they're sat with men, they talk a bit game. They're the guys who come and tell us, hey, last weekend I was with 4 mamas. Yes, in his head, he was with 1 mama. Or he doesn't last too long, but he has to come and tell us how he did her the entire night.
Yeah, well, considering that there are some of us whose favorite movie is Gone in 60 Seconds, you do kind of consider that it isn't easy for them to just come and talk about having a good time versus a long time. You get?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, now let me ask you this next question. Can every woman squirt?
Oh, yes, as long as she's got a vagina. If she has a vagina, she'll squirt.
Damn, you knew the answer to that question even before I finished it.
Hey, boss, this is 19 years, man. Not 19 minutes, 19 years. Let's just put it this way. If I didn't know the vagina muscle the way I do now, after 19 years, I should drop this and just do something else.
Oh yeah, true.
There's a 3D image I have in my head of every single membrane, nerve ending in the vagina. And if you don't over-sexualize this, you see the professionality of it. You get my point?
Yeah. So you're almost looking at it like a science experiment.
Yes, the way if I was talking about a bicep, then no one would be like, ooh, bicep. But every time we talk about the vagina, which is a muscle,
yes,
then it's taboo, then it's overly sexualized when it shouldn't. If you just understand how certain things in the body work, then you get good at it, especially with time. So the answer is yes. I mean, I've taught women who have undergone some really crazy stages of FGM, and today they can orgasm, they orgasm the point of squirting. It's just a matter of training, or rather retraining the vagina to act in a certain way, and she owns her orgasm. She gets to enjoy, and the guy she's having sex with, whoever her sexual partner or partners is, they enjoy 10 times more than usual. Why? Because her vagina is conditioned. It's as simple as that.
Interesting. Actually, now let me just move it on. I was going to ask this a little later, but I'm just going to bring this up now because you mentioned partners. Okay. Would you say that group sex is an experience that's mostly just for the clout, or does it have some form of pleasure on an internal level for at least some people?
Okay, if you're a conservative, then let's not discuss that. If you're a liberal, then I believe there are different sexual experiences you should have. You should have a threesome. Let's just start there before you head into group sex. And it's really about knowing, and that's what I was saying before, men know themselves. It's like, I've met men out there in the social world where, as I say, they talk a big game. But the minute you start telling that guy, there's 2 women who are interested in having a threesome with you, he falls off. You know, he starts coming up with excuses like, oh my God, I've just realized I'm very busy in the morning. And that's basically him saying, I can hardly manage 1 woman. How am I going to manage 2? So yes, I would say that there are things that if you're a liberal person, you should experience. Group sex is not hype if you're in those circles. You're only ever going to have true group sex if you attract those kind of people. Don't suddenly think that I'm conservative and I only mingle with conservative people, and one day magically when we're high enough we'll have group sex. Even if you do have it, it will be full of judgment and it won't be enjoyable. And it will also be competition rather than a group of people enjoying it.
Agreed, especially on that whole competition bit, because part of the reason why I have brought in like a lot of the whole threesome group sex stories is a lot of guys who might claim to be liberals are actually conservatives. Yes. And at times, when you listen to them talking about the idea of a devil's threesome of group sex, and they're like, yo, I can't look at it. And I have to admit, I am one of those people that does talk about it. I'm not gonna be going in for like a devil's threesome because I don't really see the need why I should have someone else there, because it'll kind of become a dick measuring contest of sorts. But Now that you've mentioned the liberal part, I could see the possibility of that actually appealing to some as opposed to others.
It's not going to appeal to everyone, but it's going to appeal to people who think alike. It's like, for example, if you look at the extreme of BDSM, as much as Kenyans watch 50 Shades of Grey, most Kenyans are not even on 10, forget 50. So there's the visual element and excitement, but then there's the application that's not known. So when we talk about things like threesomes, the majority of Kenyans will never know what that is.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, but do it because you understand what that dynamic looks like. So what you're saying is you would not have you'd have a threesome with two girls, but not you and a guy and a girl?
Yeah.
So with two girls you would?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And you've had that?
Possibly.
There's nothing shy about just being somebody who has explored.
It's just
for me, I don't explore threesomes. They're part of my sex life.
Oh, wow.
Yes. That's why I said it's good to uniquely know people who think like you.
Okay.
You get then you don't get to beg people or force people to do things they don't want to do. You get people who understand what you like and they like it as well. And when you do it together, wow, magic happens.
Great. Actually, now that kind of leads me on to another question.
Right.
Considering the current situations and stances and feminists that we have today,
Yes.
Would you say that hitting on girls today is different than it was before, considering the current environment? Because...
Wow, that's a very good question.
Yes, and I quote, because this is something that you said, to avoid misunderstanding, men should be blunt with their intentions so that she decides whether she is in or out. The debate among men is, women do not appreciate being told, I want sex, but the current climate calls for it.
I can see you've been following. Yes, I said that. I did.
Yes, I like to do my research.
Fantastic. And just as we move on, I just need to mention something about the group sex and the whole threesome thing. As you do it safely.
Yes.
It's important for your audience to know that. Do it safely, so at least when you do it, you have nothing to regret later on in life. So just moving on to the next point. Yes, courting a woman is harder, but it's simplified by the fact that you have the option of not behaving like the majority of people who are not giving you the right vibes.
Okay.
Like, for example, let's assume Kenyans love these out-of-town trips.
Yeah.
You, my young man, you've managed to be friendly with this girl, and you can see, she's giving you the green light to hit on her. But you then tell her, well, this coming weekend, I'd like to spend it with you, and we're going out of town. And she says, fine, I'm easy. But fine, I'm easy for her means that we're going to have fun. And that fun may not mean handling her.
Weird.
It's not a package that because she said yes, that she needs to give you sex. And that's just fact. She owes you no sex. However, if you mention the fact that you're into her sexually and you do find her sexually attractive and you would like to have sex with her, and then you bring up the whole, that's why I would like us to go out of town, then she has the choice to say, I'm in or I'm out. I'm sorry, but that's where we are today. I would just say, stop taking chances.
Okay.
And because you're also dealing with a lot of young men, it's important for them to also know that it's not your right to sleep with a woman just because you bought her drink or you bought her dinner or you invited her over to your place and she consumed whatever it is you bought. You're the one who invited her. If you are a real man, and this is me, this is not a science thing. If you're a real man, you would tell her your intentions, and then she would decide whether to come to your place or not. But don't tell her that, no, I'm not even thinking of having sex. I just want you as a friend. And then once you get tipsy and you can see things are not going your way, you start forcing yourself on her. That's just not on.
Yeah. Agreed.
If anything, we shouldn't tolerate such guys. And it's our place as men to just re-educate guys. Because it's not our right to have sex with a woman.
Agreed.
But it is our duty to tell her what our intentions is. And if she's in, she'll probably fuck your face off, for heaven's sake.
Agreed.
So I don't know why men assume that telling her what you want is a bad idea. No, she may have wanted it, but unless you ask, you'll never know.
I actually totally agree with that. Especially when you mentioned the whole creaming thing, it works perfectly. Because if you're forcing her to do it, she's not creamy.
She won't cream. But if she wants to cream, whoa.
She will smother your face in it.
There you go. Yeah, you go. Now you're talking my language, and she'll probably squirt in your nose. Whatever your fetish is.
Actually, last question on squirting.
Yes.
Is squirting different when you use your mouth, fingers, or your dick?
No.
It's all the same. The sensation is technically supposed to be the same because it's a stimulus, right?
It's a stimulus point. The only thing is our preferences are based on a mindset. Like, for example, a woman might tell you, oh my God, I love the way your fingers feel, or I love the way your penis feels, or she likes an alternate. So it's not really, it's not a competition between the finger, penis, dildo, whatever it is. It's based on, you may have a variation of slight sensation that's upped or lowered depending on whatever's giving you that stimulus. So that is allowed. I mean, that is part of sexuality. There's an up and down motion to everything. That may change, when it comes to the stimulus that a woman gets. But there are women who love the feeling of a penis because psychologically they love a penis inside them. There's another woman who just loves closing her eyes because she can feel every little stroke that your tongue is doing. She has a mental picture, and that mental picture seduces her. So you find women want one thing from the other, and that's sexuality. It's good to alternate. 1 minute you're inside her, 1 minute you're giving her oral sex, 1 minute she's giving oral sex. I mean, there has to be, that wave and motions of different stimulus, and that's what makes sex different from the uniquely boring in and out. One person comes, usually the guy, and she's left stranded. Then that's what I would call procreational kind of sex. So if we look at recreational, it's about exploring, but my rule is this: always make sure the woman enjoys 10 times more than you. That's the only way as a man you're able to say, wow, I love sex because I love what it does to the person, that I'm giving it to, the recipient. So that's just the rule.
Great.
Yeah, like the way there's Mafisi, I have my own Masimba. So that's one of the Masimba mottos. It's important to make sure the woman enjoys that session. Otherwise, what was the point of her, first and foremost, turning up, taking off her clothes? I mean, can you imagine inviting a woman over to your place and the most you can do is showcase how good you are at sleeping?
Oh, that's deplorable.
I know it is, but it's happening. It's happening. And then she has the psych to wake up and make you breakfast. Wow. Some women are just incredible.
Oh, yeah, that I totally agree with. All right. I want to transition this one on, but before that, I want to ask you a question on a lighthearted note.
Okay.
Do you believe that during sex, during missionary actually, when the man is on top, he is usually twerking?
Twerking? Well, I've seen myself in the mirror. I can't.
Well, his answer was actually quite interesting, and to be quite honest, I would really love to show you the rest of everything, but unfortunately, I kind of have to end it here. But just so you know, whatever it is that we discussed on the back half of this entire discussion was just as good, if not better, than what we had already started discussing earlier on. So you should probably stay tuned for that, and it will be coming on Friday of this same week. So as far as this episode has gone, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you tune in on the next episode where he continues to speak and we continue to see how far and wide my questions get to go. So thank you so much for listening again. If you have any thoughts, comments, or feedback to give, feel free to drop them in the DMs of @BreakTimeOnWestside on IG. On Facebook, it is also @BreakTimeOnWestside, and on Twitter, you can slide into my personal DMs @BagakaTheD. If you are listening on Castbox, feel free to drop your thoughts and comments, and I will attend to them accordingly. And I will catch you guys on the next break. Take care.